Another topic you want to think of while you're finishing up your design is search engines. We want to make sure that our site gets listed properly and that our customers can easily find it. Now, in the old days of the web, this involved setting up a lot of mandatory tags and keywords so that search engines would know where to list your site. But with modern search engines today, they do most of the work for us. What we have to make sure of is that we write our page using the right tags, and our search engines will generally find the information that they're looking for themselves. For instance, a search engine will scan through a page and it knows that the header is going to contain information about maybe navigation and other links, but that the section tags is where the real content's going to be. And it also generally knows that information included inside of an H1 tag would be more important than information included in an H2 tag. So if you just format your content the right way, search engines will know what's important and pick out the keywords themselves. Now, of course, there are some tags that we can use to help search engines along, and we generally want to add those to important pages in our site. So let me go back to the index page and we'll set those ones up. The tags I'm talking about are also meta tags, and I'm going to put them inside the head with any other meta tags that we're going to set up. So I'll just add a line below our content type meta tag, and we'll add another tag. And this time I'm not changing header information, so I'll just use the name attribute. And generally there are two named data areas that we're going to work on, description and keywords. So I'll do description first. Like the HTTP equiv, the name attribute describes which element we're going to be changing the settings for, and we use a content attribute to actually specify the changes we want to make. In this case, I just include a description of my website right in the content attribute. This description will usually appear underneath your page title on any search results pages from most popular search engines. Since the meta tag is inside the head area, this won't appear on our page at all. And since most search engines use it, it's a great way to make sure that your listing on the search results page looks a lot better than just some random code that the search engine found at the top of your page. You can use it to describe whatever you want your user to know before they come to your site. The other meta tag allows us to supply a list of keywords that we'd like used in searching our site. You set it up in very much the same way. It's a meta tag, so it has to go with the others inside the head area. And we're going to use the name attribute, but this time we'll be setting the name equal to keywords. And like before, we need a content attribute which will supply all of our values. In here, we can set up as many keywords as we want, and we simply just separate them with commas. You don't have to supply too many. Remember I said that most modern search engines will actually find the keywords themselves. But it's still a good idea to be thinking about what keywords would work for the site and listing them out all in one place. In the end, the placement of your keywords inside your content is much more important than the meta tag, but by adding both, you're ensuring that search engines will list your site properly. And once your site is up and on the web, you should be able to evaluate how good of a job you did with your keywords. For our site, we've added the keywords to our most important page, the home page or the index page. If you want to add keywords and descriptions to your other page, it's a good idea to customize it specifically for the page you're working on, instead of just copying and pasting them in. If you're only going to use the same keywords and description on each page, it's actually better just to leave it on the one most important page in our site, the home page. Now, one other thing that you can optimize for search engines that people don't think about is the file name itself. You'll notice we've picked very simple file names for most of ours. Let's go back down to our website project folder, and we'll take a look at the conventions that we've used so far. I mentioned earlier that it's not a great idea to use spaces inside of your file names, and as you can see in our file names, I've usually chosen to use a dash where we would want a space. Now let me just bring up the index page in our browser and we can see why. Up here in the address bar, you can see that it works just fine. I've got a space in the Working Files folder, and I've got a space in the Website Project folder itself. But if I copy this link, and I just go back to a text window and paste it in, you'll notice that the actual link includes a few weird characters. This %20 is the representation in the file name for a space, and as you can see, it confuses the file names completely, and it's much harder to read. And if it's hard for us to read when we're looking at it, It'll also be hard for a search engine to decipher what the page is. By adding dashes in the place of the spaces, the words will be separated both visually and for search engines when they come looking.